A group of 10 so-called moderate Republicans proposed a counter-COVID stimulus plan to the $1.9 trillion one that Biden was pushing. So here's what Jeff Stein says about this from the Washington Post. From what we know, the plan from 10 Republicans appears to cut from Biden's plan 3 months of unemployment insurance, knocked down by $100 a week, $350 billion for states and cities, monthly child benefit, $15 an hour minimum wage, checks reduced from $1,400 to $1,000, and parts of school money. So, that is not a comprehensive list of all the things that the Republicans cut from the $1.9 trillion Democratic plan. But suffice to say, and you can see this here, all they did was take a plan that was already too weak up front and make it even weaker. Take a watered-down plan and water it down even more, and then say, oh, I'd like to meet with you in good faith, President Biden, to discuss this, because maybe we could get something done together. Now, Biden has permanent DC brain, and so he's all about bipartisanship as a value above actual substantive policy to help the people. And so what does Biden do? He invites them to the White House immediately. This group of 10 Republican senators are coming into the White House, and they're going to negotiate. They're going to negotiate. Guys, I cannot tell you just how much this story alone shows everything that's wrong with Biden and the Democrats and everything that's wrong with Washington, D.C. Because think about it. The original proposal, the original plan was, we're going to give you a $2,000 stimulus check, quote, immediately. A $2,000 stimulus check, quote, next week. The first quote was Biden. The second quote was John Ossoff. Warnock ran ads. $2,000 checks. It went from that to, okay, now let's overcomplicate it and put it in a bigger COVID stimulus package, which will not get the votes to pass, especially because we just had another COVID stimulus package. And also, by the way, did we say $2,000? What we meant was a total of $2,000 checks, and you already got $600, so now it's down to $1,400. So that's what happened. And then it went from the first week to, oh, we can't get in the first week, maybe March, oh, maybe April. So it keeps getting worse and worse and pushed further back and further back. And now Biden is saying to the Republicans, who just made his already weak plan much weaker, oh, great, now I want to meet with you and let's iron out a deal. You have the votes to get whatever you want passed. What are you doing? See, in a situation like this, if Biden was actually like the new FDR, which a lot of media puff pieces said he would be, in a situation like this, you take one look at their proposal and say, the checks just became $2,500 and we're putting them through reconciliation ASAP. Thanks for your insulting counterproposal. That's what a president with balls would do, and that's what a president who actually cared about the people would do. That's what you do. Hey, I'm already proposing something that's not nearly strong enough. I mean, really, people need $2,000 a month. But you're gonna insult me and take my already compromised plan and make it even weaker and then say, oh, I want to deal with you in good faith? Why should I deal with you? I have 51 votes. I have the Senate. I have the House. I am the president. Now the checks are $2,500 and we're putting them through reconciliation ASAP. We're putting the package through reconciliation ASAP. Nobody gives a fuck how you get the relief to them. They just need the relief. You know, there was this like joke going around social media where people were saying, you know, there was like, it's the 2-button meme, you know, the guy who's sweating and he has to determine which button to pick. And one of them says $300 unemployment insurance in a bipartisan way, or $400 unemployment insurance only passed by the Democrats. And they're like sweating as if it's a difficult thing to determine which one is better. Obviously the $400 is better. Obviously people need the help right now. Has anybody seen these economic numbers? I mean, even before the COVID pandemic and the subsequent depression, 80% of the country was living paycheck to paycheck. Now we're in a position where 40% of the country has been food insecure at one point or another. 30% of the country can't make their housing payment. As soon as these, you know, the moratoriums on evictions and foreclosures ends, oh my God, we're in for one of the most disastrous downturns in all of U.S. history, rivaling the Great Depression. We gave you the numbers the other week. Job loss in the COVID depression is 4 times worse than the Great Recession. The Great Recession was a cataclysmic event. I remember graduating into that economy. Everybody I know looked around and said, what the fuck do we do now? There are no jobs. There's no jobs. The economy was a joke. It was all a house of cards. Now job losses are 4 times worse than then? Listen, you have to fight for the people, and you have to do it aggressively. And instead of doing that, he's got the DC brain rot where he values bipartisanship above getting relief to people. You don't need 60 votes to get any of this passed. You could do it through reconciliation with 51 votes. And you can put whatever you want in the package as long as you hold Manchin and Sinema. And again, what a president would do if the president cared is do a very aggressive bill and then tell Manchin and Sinema, you're not going to get reelected if you go against me on this. We will obliterate you. I will use every tool at my disposal to come after you and make sure you lose in a primary in the next election. That's what I'm going to do. So you can be my friend or my enemy. I don't know if you've seen my approval rating recently, but President Biden's actually very popular at the moment. That's what happens when a president gets elected usually. So do people, whose approval rating is higher? Joe Biden or Joe Manchin? Joe Biden's approval rating is way higher than Joe Manchin's approval rating. You let him know who the boss is. You let him know he's going to work with you. And if he doesn't want to work with you, fine, but he could kiss his career goodbye. It's done. It's over. This is what you would do, but instead, no. Water down the plan that's already watered down, meet with the Republicans, and then what's going to happen is, very likely, they will probably come to some sort of an agreement, but the agreement is going to be horrendous. The agreement is going to be so much weaker than what they could get through, all because he values getting those 60 votes over valuing getting relief to the American people, which is desperately needed. I mean, it's really inexcusable, man. It's really inexcusable. This cult of bipartisanship is always a good thing by definition. No, it's not. If you have a bipartisan deal to deregulate Wall Street, it's not good. If you have a bipartisan deal to cut taxes for corporations in the top 1%, it's not good. Bipartisanship isn't inherently good or bad. It all depends on the details of the bipartisanship. And the details of this bipartisanship, we already know it's going to be, let's get a weaker plan instead of a stronger one, and to help the American people during the COVID downturn. I would rather have a stronger one and get it with 51 votes and then brag about it and then crush your political opponents. Why would you even give them a potential political win here when you have them by the fucking balls? If you pass $2,000 checks immediately like you said you would do, are you kidding me? You can run ads from now for the next decade about how you're the one that delivered and the Republicans got in the way. It's an 80% issue, for fuck's sake. Oh my God. And instead they backed off of it, handing themselves a giant loss, and now they're caving on top of caving on top of caving. It's disgusting, man. It's pathetic. And there's really no sense of moral urgency which needs to be there. There absolutely should be a sense of moral urgency because people are really, really struggling. And he values the process and the Washington, D.C. conventional bubble wisdom. He values that over getting you your help ASAP. So this is not a good sign for the future of the Biden administration. And honestly, listen, I nailed it. I told you guys that you're going to like a lot of the executive orders on day one, and week one, you're going to like a lot of the things that he does, because all he's going to do is reverse the worst aspects of Trumpism. That's exactly what happened. But now, what did I tell you? There's going to be a sharp fall off after the first week, because all it's going to be is attempting to work in a bipartisan way and agreeing with Republicans on their terms, giving them what they want, because Biden half agrees with them. So he's fine doing that. And that's exactly what's happening right in front of our eyes. So we have this happening right now. They're going to weaken the COVID plan. And the next thing that I'm afraid of is at some point they might try to do a grand bargain, which is cutting Social Security and Medicare, and they'll frame it as, no, we're not cutting Social Security and Medicare. We're reforming the programs to save them, and the media will go right along with it. Because the media is going into Biden protection mode to the max. I got more stories on that, and I'll give you the specifics. But they're going to play defense for this administration. They are in the tank for this administration. That's a guarantee. So they will not give you the straight dope. They will not tell you what could actually happen with the power that they have. When you have the Senate, when you have the House, and when you have the presidency, you could get whatever you want, especially if you utilize reconciliation so you win with 51 votes. You can get almost anything you want. But instead, they're basically giving up that power up front and compromising on top of the compromise on top of the compromise. Why would Biden do that? Because he half agrees with the Republicans. He's basically a moderate Republican. So here we are. And I fear, as Randy said on Twitter, for the love of God, I hope there's a Democrat in the room that has an 80 IQ or above, because they could easily just give away everything here, get an incredibly weak plan, and then pretend it's some sort of victory. When again, they don't need to do it. They could pass whatever they want through reconciliation right now. And they're not doing it. They're giving up that power. They're giving up that authority. The thing that the Republicans would never do and did never do. When they passed their 2017 tax cut for the rich bill, they did it through reconciliation. And it added $2 trillion to the deficit. Now people are going to concern troll about getting policies that help the American people through reconciliation, like a living wage, or like a COVID relief bill, or like checks. Fuck out of here. So this is not a good sign at all. It's depressing. And I want to say, like, I hope that they come to a positive deal, but I know they won't. I know that the terms of a deal are objectively going to be worse than the original proposal. And I know, as a matter of fact, they didn't need to try to get 60 votes and do it through regular order. They could have done it through reconciliation, and they chose not to.